So welcome to our last class on camera workshops. I'm going to go ahead and dive right into some of the basics of conducting an interview on camera, how you work with the camera, some mechanics of audio visuals, and then we'll do our exercises. Did everyone get slides? Okay, fantastic. So, basics, we'll talk about video conferences, we'll talk about camera work, press conference, and then we'll do our video conference exercise, followed by, we won't do an exercise, no one's doing an interview, but we will do our press conference. Letitia's going to do the press conference. She's going to play the chairperson of DEP. All right, so let's talk first about sound. When you're working with audio-visual equipment and you're working with sound, sometimes there's this awkward situation where you're trying to talk in the microphone and it sort of blurts or makes a little buzz sound. Has that happened to anyone before?
Yeah.
A couple of techniques I recommend you use to overcome that. One I call the H technique, the other I call the increasing volume pull technique. The H technique is simply imagining the letter H before the first word you're going to say. So if you're going to say Mr. So-and-so, just imagine in your head H, Mr. And when you imagine the letter H, it will make that H movement with your mouth and will let a little air out to prevent you from a hard start. Does that make sense? So when I say the word hello, there's a breath to it. Hello. When I say the word but, there's a hard start to it. So I can imagine the letter H before the letter B in but, and say but. It's almost like a microscopic but. Does that make sense to everyone? So imagine the letter H and you'll let out a little air and it will allow you to prevent a hard start, which the microphone could not like. The other technique I recommend, increasing volume pull technique. Start with the microphone a little far away from your mouth and bring it closer as you begin talking. So if I'm going to say, Mr. So-and-so, did you see this report? I use the H technique and I bring it closer as I begin. Mr. So-and-so, tell me the specifics of this press conference. Does that make sense? So you bring it in as you hear the feedback. Because a lot of times if it's rushed, you won't have an opportunity to test. And if you use those two techniques, it can prevent an awkward start to your audiovisual experience. Make sense? All right. Adjust volume for body mic. Now if you have a body mic, someone puts it on you, hopefully they will do the adjustments for you, but you won't have the opportunity to pull it closer or further from you. You'll just have to listen carefully and hear if you're loud enough, hear if you're soft enough, especially if it's a projection. So do the best you can if you have the body mic on you already. Visible face and mouth. So when I'm doing on-camera work, you want your mouth, eyes, and face to be visible. Psychologists have done studies that an audience will trust you more if they see your eyes, they see your mouth, they will hear you more clearly, they see your entire face, they will trust you more. So you want all those features to be visible to the camera. You don't want your mouth out of focus or out of frame. Voice. What sort of voice do you use when you're giving an interview or using a press conference? This is not the time to try out your announcer voice. Just your natural voice. Your slow, natural, engaged. All right? Excited about what you're saying, passionate about what you're saying. That will bring the necessary volume. When I coach clients, I don't say speak louder, I say speak with a more engaged tone of voice. Really believe what you're saying, and that will bring the necessary volume. Starting and stopping. So when you're starting your speech, or ending your speech, or whatever you're going to say on this video conference or interview, start with these aforementioned mic techniques. Full sentence minimum. I would not recommend a lot of one-word responses or answers over, say, a video conference, because sometimes that could get lost in a little static. And sometimes if there's a time delay, it'll just be like one word awkwardly placed in the middle of something else that's going on the other end. So start with the mic techniques, speak at least a full sentence, and be clear about where you're stopping. You don't want to trail off if you're on a video conference and people don't have the visual cues that you might be stopping or you might be done. So you want to be clear with your speech when you stop. Okay, some basics on sound. Eye contact. There's always the question, if you have a camera in the room, where do you look? So I've got a camera in this room. Do I look directly into the camera and connect with the audience that's watching it on TV, or do I look at the people in the audience? In this case, I look at the people in the audience because the camera is very secondary. That's just there for support. People see it later. But there are times I might want to look directly into the camera. If I am making eye contact with the studio audience, okay, so these are the two things. You can either make eye contact with the studio audience, which would be you all, or eye contact with the television audience would be the television watching on the camera. Remember, either way, if we're talking about an on-camera workshop, we're playing to the camera TV audience. So even though I'm talking to you, let's just pretend this is different than a class. We're doing this is a studio shoot. And I'm talking to you, but I'm playing to the camera. The important people are the camera. The important people are the people watching on the camera. Does that make sense? If I'm looking at you, the reason I'm looking at you is because I want the people watching on the camera to feel like they're in an intimate setting and they're getting the full in-person experience. Does that make sense? That would be the reason I would be making eye contact with you. If I want to engage directly with the people at home, I look straight into the camera and say, this is the on-camera workshop, and this is how you use the H technique. This is how you use this. Fully commit to looking in the camera. And you decide what would look better, what sort of feel are you going for? Are you trying to just give the television audience the in-studio feel, in which case you make eye contact with people in the room, or do you want to connect directly with them, in which case you look straight into the camera. Decide what makes more sense to you, and fully commit to one or the other. I've noticed that a lot when I look at the presidential debates that happened over the last several months. Sometimes the candidates, when they make their opening or closing remarks, or they're on a roll, they will look straight into the camera. And sometimes they do it well, but often they will look into the camera for a little bit, and then they'll kind of like look at other people, and you get this darty eye, suspicious sort of look. Commit fully. It can be awkward to look into a big metal object that doesn't give you any feedback, so you have to imagine that there's someone else on the other end. As you're looking into that camera, you just have to visually think about the person, the people that you're connecting with. Imagine the camera as a person. I've heard imagine the camera as a pet, a friendly cat. All right? If that brings the emotions you need to create that connection with the people who you can't see. All right, open the camera, direct connection, commit fully, imagine the camera as a person or a pet. All right, what is this? Enter goes out. Oh my God. Oh, whatever. All right, so if your audio visuals are different than you planned, you just have to adjust to it. Okay. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about lighting. Lighting is very simple. I will teach you very quickly this 3-point lighting system, which is what it sounds like. There's 3 points of lights that you can be aware of. If you're sitting at your desk doing a video conference, you can think, all right, I need 1 point here, 1 point here, 1 point here. And that will make me look better. It won't make me look like the shadowy person who's sitting in his office in New York. It'll make me look like the person who you can relate to and you can be inspired by and you can trust. The next time you send me information or the next time you send me stuff that's important for your profession. So let me just lay it out to you, and then we'll remind ourselves after I lay it out to you that it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. 3 points. 1, you have a key light, which is your basic light, which will illuminate you. When you shine your key light on a subject, sometimes there's shadows. It doesn't cover everything. Maybe the key light would be coming from this angle, and you might see shadows in this area. So you would use what we call a fill light to fill in those shadows. And your face will be fully illuminated. There's still one remaining problem. You will tend to blend into the background unless you put some backlight behind you, either pointed directly at you, or sometimes you can point it at the wall just to illuminate the surface behind you, which gives you enough of a backlight effect. Those three things: key light, fill light, backlight. As an example, this is a young man with no light, just the overhead lights. You never know exactly what you're going to get. We've got shadows around the eyes. We don't want to be remembered as that person on the video conference. So, well, let's shine a key light to illuminate some of the features on his face. You see we have the shadowy effect on that side. So now he wants a fill light from this direction. Boom, we've got the full face illuminated. We're looking pretty good. And this is not bad until you see how much we can really make this person stand out with a little backlight. Backlight is easy. It just might be shining a light at the wall to illuminate it. It might be just taking your desk lamp and kind of putting it behind you. We can do all this stuff very simply, very quickly. And it can make a big difference. All right. Alright, yeah, I took this one out, but I'll let you enjoy it. Background capture. Right, we want to be aware of what we're wearing and what is in the background. This is exaggerated for fun, of course, but it can happen. This is another one I like. This is a great look if you're James Bond. It's not a great look if you're Bob from accounting. People will always remember you as the guy who blended into the background. Attire, what to wear, wardrobe choice. An answer to the question what you wear for your video conference, your interview, your press conference. Feel the part, feel comfortable. Think about what you're representing and dress appropriately. Feel as comfortable as you can at the same time. And I've seen some bizarre mistakes on either side of that. Sometimes people think, oh, I'm going to give an interview, I just want to be myself and be comfortable, and they wear a t-shirt or sweats or something. No, you need to remember what you're representing. This is not the time to be completely genuine. You want to feel as comfortable as possible, but realize there's going to be some sort of visual effect, some sort of technicality that's going to go with that. Color contrast, solid colors. Let's see, what do we have in the room? Yeah, so Amanda would be a good look, I think, on camera, and possibly Gokai, but he's wearing a pile shirt. But everyone else, at least David particularly, that would be dizzy on camera. Venetia, that would be a little dizzy, those stripes, and especially Maxine. That would just make the people in Tampa's head spin as they're trying to listen to her critique on the technical aspect of what's going on in the company. These dizzy patterns can dance. Here's a couple examples. All right, look at the lines. All right, how about this one? Flannel shirt. You might like to see this guy in your kitchen, but the stripes could be a little bit awkward as you are watching him on video conference. Okay, any questions about that? Let's talk about camera angles. By angles, I mean where. All right, VP chairperson has arrived. All right, in terms of camera angles, what I mean is where you put the camera. So if you look at the camera right now, it's a question of, do I put it low, do I put it high, do I put it straight on? The answer is straight on. You want the camera looking right at you, as close to eye level as possible. That gives you what you really look like, essentially. If it's too low, there can be some problems. If it's too high, there can be some problems. Straight on represents you and gives a full look at your face. If it's too low, contributes to what I call a heavy top. So if the camera was on the floor there looking up at me, one, it would be looking right up my nostrils. That's one awkward thing. The other is my face would just look bigger and more dominant on the screen. It would be like you're an ant looking up at me. Who is this person trying to push his authority around? There could be a similar problem if the camera is too high. It gives me kind of a mischievous, evil look, right? I'm a minion type of person if you're looking down on me. And also there's a problem where you don't see my eyes. You don't see the whites in my eyes as well as you would if you were looking straight on. And if you don't see the whites in my eyes, there's something creepy might be going on. I'll show you some examples of this and see if you agree. So heavy top, mischievous bottom, you want to avoid those. Big foreground. All right, the foreground is the space between me and the camera. The background is behind me, the foreground is here. By big foreground, I mean that objects in the foreground appear bigger to the people watching on TV. So if I were to put my hand right here, what would that look like to the studio audience? It would be this huge hand crushing them, coming down on them. So you want to be aware of that and not make sudden movements towards the camera, or not, sudden movements towards the camera. That's the big thing to be aware of. Camera assault, blended participants. Okay, so suppose there are two presenters. Actually, can you stand up for a minute, David? So suppose David and I are conducting a workshop, and stand kind of right there and face the class. Suppose we're, stand there, stay there. So if we're conducting a workshop and maybe we're talking to you all right here, it may look fine the way you're looking at us, but the way the camera's looking at us, we're kind of blended together. So you want to be aware of the picture that the camera's creating, and we might stand like this. All right, do you want to take the next point, David? No, just kidding. Okay. Go ahead and have a seat. Okay, let's take a look at some of these examples. What's going on? We got a big foreground, heavy top, mischievous bottom. Anything else awkward in the way these angles look? What's that?
The movie.
Oh, it says Citizen Kane? Yeah, glad you recognize it. We'll talk about it. What in terms of the angles, why did
Low angle?
Yeah, it's a low angle which contributes to the heavy top. Right? So you're looking right up his nose, and you're looking at him like he's some authoritative egomaniac, which actually in the movie he is, right? If you've seen this movie, Citizen Kane. That's the effect the director was going for, but not the effect that you want to use for your video conference for the accounting department. All right, what's going on here? So, question, what do you do if you see these two guys in your house? Run. You either run, call the police, or don't worry about it because it's already too late. So we have a high camera. So see how you can't really see their full whites of their eyes? Gives them that evil look. How about this young woman? What's Letitia? What's up? What do you think about this? She looks crazy. Okay. Okay. So what's wrong with the what? It's too high. All right. It's giving a mischievous bottom look. She might look crazy. Assuming you didn't think this person looked crazy, if this were a job candidate, an applicant, what sort of job do you think she would be applying for? Bartender?
Tattoo shop.
Tattoo shop? Certainly not the VP of marketing. Certainly not the director of sales. This is a person who might be in a submissive, less important role, just because of the angle. All right. How about this one? Someone who obviously didn't like Rick Santorum. What's going on there? His hand is stupid. Well, his hand's fine. There's nothing wrong with his hand. It's just the way he positioned his hand relative to the lens. He put it right here. And then how about the angle? What's going on there?
Low.
It's low. All right, so it's giving him that heavy top. You're looking at Rick Santorum's nose, and you're seeing shadows actually underneath his cheeks, kind of, and underneath the bottom of his eyes, or the tops of his eyes, rather. So you want the angle straight ahead, if possible. Last one. Blended participants. Got some funny things going on. We've got Joe, the intern, who no one listens to, off in this corner, right? We've got this blonde woman here, who kind of blends in with everyone. We've got this guy whose head is cut off, standing up for some reason. It's just not on the same page with everyone else. I guess we've got this woman, to me, looks like the most impressive person, the one who stands out, who knows what's going on with this team, just by looking at this picture. So if this team had thought through how this video conference might work more effectively, they would have spaced themselves out, make sure everyone, was visible, and also make sure that he's on the same level as everyone else. Okay, video conferencing, eye contact. All right, so those are some basics. Now we're going to talk about video conferencing, interviews, and press conferences, specifically how you would approach these. And again, sorry that I copied an older version of my slides, but you have the updated version of my slides on your handouts, so I'm going to take a quick look at those and make sure I am following along, even though I might be skipping a few things that I had on the older version. Okay, so when you're doing a video conference, there's this awkward thing that happens with eye contact. So suppose this is a computer screen and I'm video conferencing with someone in Phoenix. There is typically a camera at the top of your laptop, and then there's the screen where you see the other participants in the other site. Now if you look at the screen where you see the other participants in the other site, it's like you're following along with them, you're engaging with them, but what are they seeing in terms of your eye contact?
Looking down.
They see you looking down, all right? So what do they think about you and your connection to them when you're looking away? Okay, you're looking away. I mean, if I were, Letitia, if I were to try to talk to you and just look like this, Maxine, if I were to have a conversation and look off to the side, I would look weird. Why am I not looking you in the eye? They might realize it, but you're losing an opportunity to inspire them with your professional ability. You might be putting them off for some reason. Hopefully they will be a big person and realize that there's audio-visual challenges, but you, being smart business students and good communication professionals, have an opportunity to connect with someone by using some techniques to look them directly in the eye. You can do it two ways. One, you can just make a conscious effort to look into the camera and imagine that person. Two, you can also use a distance plus zoom option, which essentially means you put the camera or the computer further away from you and you try to manipulate the camera so it zooms in on you. Does anyone know how to do that with your camera? You can zoom in or have that functionality with your camera. If you do have it, not all computers have it, you can put the camera further away from you and zoom in on your face, and it makes the distance between the computer screen and the camera less. It makes the angle smaller. Does that make sense? So you can still look at the screen and it's not as bad in terms of not making eye contact on the other end. Video conferencing has understated body language. Typically in a video conference, if you have 3 or 4 people and you try to keep all 3 of them on the screen and not blend everyone together, it's harder for the people at the other side to see your body language, to read the nonverbal cues, because you're on a small screen. So often you might think that you're sending clear signals about what you're saying, how excited you are about this project, how you want whatever you want in terms of this meeting, but you're doing it non-verbally, and you need to realize that your body language is understated, so you need to rely more on physical words. Make sense? Time delays. Sometimes there's a second time delay on a video conference, or a 2-second time delay. This can be especially awkward if you give short one-word answers, and then by the time your answer is heard, the people on the other end have already started to move on to another subject, and they hear your voice saying, "Yes, I agree." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's Zach over in Tampa. Don't worry about it. It's just kind of kooky." Remember their time delays, and I recommend using the full sentence minimum technique to help with that problem. Visual aids. You have to be very careful when you're explaining visual aids. I have a project, or I have an exercise we could have done tonight if we had more people, where the task is to explain a complicated graph to someone over a video conference. And it's challenging because you can't say to people who are in a different location, all right, you see down here, up here, and you know this. You need to have a method for saying, look at the bottom right, look at point A, look at point B, and as you can see, it increases. You just need to use extra work to clarify what you're talking about when you're using visual aids. Monotony and isolation. So, as you're having a video conference with people on a completely different site, they can easily become bored. They can easily think that you're not listening to them, or don't care about them, or don't know that they're there. So some things you can do to break through that monotony and isolation is consistently check in. So does everyone in Tampa agree with that? Does anyone in Cleveland have anything to say to that? Break it up. Sometimes these video conferences can be long and boring and people just can zone out. Also, to overcome this monotony and isolation, and good idea in general, is have overview techniques. Have a clear agenda when you're using a video conference. Preview information as it's coming up. So folks, now we're going to talk about the new HR process coding example. Everyone ready? All right, let's get to the main issues. Check in with a 30,000 foot view. So I know this is maybe a little confusing. We're talking about the coding issue. I just want to give everyone in Tampa and Cleveland and Houston an overview, and remember this relates to this point in the agenda. That's the 30,000 foot view. So now let's get back to the specifics. And review. I like preview, 30,000 foot view, review. Good techniques in general for meetings, especially critical at a video conference. Questions? Okay, let's move on to, oh, is there a question?
So is this something that you want us to implement while we're doing our exercise?
Sure, that'd be great. I would think about using some of this stuff when you're doing the exercise we're going to do in a few minutes. Absolutely.
3,000 foot view.
Yeah, so I think of these three together. So as you're going through topics in your conference, you might preview and say, all right, we're going to talk about the HR plan, and there are 3 points we want to talk about. Now let's talk about point 1, point 2. All right, we've been talking about point 2 a while. Let's back up, take a 30,000 foot view, and say, remember point 2 is the second critical piece of the HR thing. Everyone understand that's the big picture? Now let's get back to the nuts and bolts of it. And then once we're done, remember we talked about 3 points. And I know we got a little lost in point 2, but I used the 30,000 foot view to put it in context. All right, on-camera interviews. So, you're giving an interview for some reason, you're representing your company perhaps, you've got some new exciting developments, you had some terrible scandal and you have to give an interview as the marketing person. For whatever reason, you're doing this interview. A couple of concepts to keep in mind. First is what I call the one-way, two-way conversation. What do I mean by that? If I'm being interviewed, David is interviewing me here. He and I are having a two-way conversation. The camera and I are just having a one-way conversation. And really the only important conversation going on is the one-way conversation with the camera. The camera usually won't see him. Sometimes we'll see him every once in a while, but the people watching at home will typically just see me. And I need to remember that. All right, if he starts to agitate me, he starts to make funny faces at me, and that makes me mad, the people at home don't see that. They only see me getting mad. And I've seen Hillary Clinton is great at managing this one-way, two-way conversation. People will ask her the most annoying, offensive questions imaginable, and she will not get mad back at them. She will just smile and say, Yeah, I understand there's some real challenges in that regard, but I think the important thing to focus on is this, this, and this. So you need to remember the important conversation is here. It's not anything the interviewer does to upset you. Clothing, I took this out. I already talked about field apart. Posture, upright and forward. All right, you do not want to slouch. Something weird happens when you slouch. So you want to be upright and a little bit forward. When I slouch, it looks worse on camera. The reason for that is the lack of depth perception that the camera has. It doesn't see that there's this curve going on in my body, it just sees a more scrunched figure. So it makes it look much, much worse. So upright and forward. Overstated body language. Now a minute ago, I said a video conference has understated body language because typically it's a longer shot, the camera's further away. For a camera interview, a one-person interview, the body language is overstated because the camera is usually so close on your face. It sees every detail. You start to get nervous, you start to get frustrated, the camera and the people at home will realize that. So you just need to take a breath, realize that the camera is capturing everything, and be sincere and calm as you can. Truth times 10, close-up moments. An actor friend that I created some of this material with, he used these two things to describe overstated body language. The camera sees the truth times 10. The important moments in your life happen in close-up, with a camera close up to your face. And that's what an interviewer, a good interviewer, will try to capture, a real intimate moment with you. And you need to just be aware of that. Make sure that you're not doing anything with your face that looks overstated or awkward. Vertical. All right, so what do we do with the camera angle? Let me sit back down here. All right, so there's two questions on the camera angle. One is the vertical, either in terms of do we want it straight, do we want it down, or do we want it low? We already talked about we want it at eye level, right? We want it at 90 degrees. We don't want it high and make me look submissive. We don't want it low and make me look like a dominant, aggressive person. We want it straight at my eyes, eye level. There's also a question, where do I want it on the horizon? If I'm having an interview with David, do I want the camera a little bit over here? Do I want it here, or do I want it here? And the answer is, I want my eyes to be looking into the camera or as close as possible. So if I was getting interviewed by David, I might request that the camera be moved over a little bit. Because if I'm looking straight at David, the further the camera is that way, the less of my eyes the camera is going to see. One thing you can also do, if David is interviewing me and I have no choice, the camera's here, is as David's asking me questions, I can answer them right here. I can say, yeah, that's a good question, David. Now, I'm not making eye contact with David, but the camera doesn't know that. And I get my eyes a little bit closer to the camera. Does that make sense? Right. Okay, so what do we say when we are doing an on-camera interview? Do we just say, all right, I'm going to wait and see what the interview asks me, and I'll just respond to their questions appropriately? No. We plan out pretty much exactly what we want to say in an on-camera interview. And we just use the interviewer's questions as our opportunity to say those things. Right? That's unreasonable? There's nothing wrong with that. That's not cheating. You know you're going in for an interview. What do I want to say? And I'm going to say what I want to say, regardless of what the on-camera person, regardless pretty much, not 100%, but pretty much regardless of what that person asks me. So I need to think about what my key messages are and how they might be condensed down to sound bites. And furthermore, I want to think about what sort of questions I'm going to be asked so I can think about how I'm going to weave my key messages into those answers. Henry Kissinger, former Secretary of State, said it best. I'm going to have to look this up. I think he may have even started a press conference this way. He may have said, does anyone here have any questions for my answers? He already knew what he was gonna say. He just needs to ask him, someone to ask him a question. So it seems like an engagement. All right. Reiterate positive questions, bridging and blocking for negative questions. What do I mean by those two things? Reiterate positive, blocking and bridging for negative. I'm going to take a guess. Why would I reiterate positive questions? If this is a press conference or an interview, and Orlando asks me a positive question like, how did you do such a great job with sales in 2015? I would restate it because I want to accent that point. I say, that's a great question, Orlando. You want to know how we just smashed all those sales records in 2015? All right, I'll tell you. This is how we did it. We did it with marketing, we did it with operations, we did it with hard work. Now, what if Orlando asks me a tough questions like, well, can you tell me why so many people quit and resigned in 2016 so far? All right, I don't want to repeat that. I want to bridge that to something positive. I might say, okay, so what I hear you saying, Orlando, is you want to know how we're changing as a company. Or what I hear you saying, Orlando, is you want to know how we're overcoming some of the HR challenges we've had. Well, the answer is this, this, and this. So instead of repeating his question, I bridge that to something positive that I want to talk about. Whatever I thought my key message was going to be, knowing that I would probably get that question. Reiterate positive, block and bridge to negative. Yeah, it's old stuff, old stuff, old stuff, old stuff. Press conferences. Okay, so we're going to hold a press conference. We just released a new version of our software. Everybody's excited about it. Let's hold a press conference. And we just spilled a bunch of oil on the whatever, the southeast coast. We hold a press conference and apologize. Why hold a press conference? Why did we not just send the press a written statement? This is our new software, or we're sorry about that oil spill. The answer to this question is because we have a message and a messenger. All right, we have a message that we want to deliver, and the person who delivers that is also important. So we can't just send a press release saying we're sorry. We can't just send a press release saying we're excited about this. We want to portray that message, but we also want to think about the person who is portraying that message and let the characteristics of that person and the way that person represents your company or represents whoever the press conference is for, enhance that message. So for press conference, we need to be aware of both those things. What's our message and who's saying it? So if you're on a crisis management team and someone says we should hold a press conference, who should we send? You can say, well, we want to be very careful about who we send, and we want to think that that person, we want to make sure that that person enhances the message that we're trying to send. Okay, prepared statement, messenger character, statement length. Okay, I think I cut out that stuff. We don't need to talk about this, so ignore this stuff. How long should it be? This press conference, key thing to keep in mind, it should be newsworthy. So for a press conference, you might invite a bunch of folks. They might want to come because they have questions, and they're looking for answers that are newsworthy. And you want to control that by thinking about what are the sound bites you want to give them that they're going to use in their news reports, in their news write-ups. If you make that message too long, then they will have so much more ammunition, and they could use other things as sound bites that you maybe hadn't planned on. So you want to think about a concise press conference statement that has the right sound bites that work best for you and your company. You don't want to be too short because people watching may get annoyed that they're having their time wasted. You want to explain as best as possible, but not be too long and give the folks who are listening too many options for sound bites. You want to control the sound bites as much as possible. Any questions on that? Newsworthy, too short, too long. Okay, I think question, Q&A. All right, so if you get some questions during a press conference, use the techniques we mentioned in interviews. Reiterate positive questions, blocking and bridging to negative questions. Right, I think that is it in terms of the content, in terms of the basics I wanted to go over before we do these exercises. Does anyone have any questions, comments on any of that? All right, so let's prepare to get started with these exercises. We're going to start first with the Live Long Annuity Conference. Let me see if we have everyone here. Are we missing folks? All right, so we've got our little Orlando here. We've got David for annuity processing. We've got Amanda has Skype hooked up, right? And what's that? And we've got Maxine. All right, maybe we can put India and IT together and New York together. But let's first what we're going to do is you're going to try to see if you can download and get Skype up running, and then the three of us, Orlando, you and me and Max, are going to connect on Skype right now. Those of you who are not involved in this connecting on Skype process, go ahead and maybe think about your role or review, get ready to practice, or or check your email or something else.
Question
Yes,
for the
Misha.
VP. So is the teacher, she reading the full statement, or are they watching the press conference? Or?
Yeah, she's reading the full statement, she practiced that and is ready to answer questions on it.
I didn't practice that, I didn't really remember. Oh, wait, so I can look at the paper, right?
Yeah, look at the paper, you don't have to memorize it, you read it.
Oh my God, I thought I had to write it.
So they have a different,
Yeah.
oh, okay. I'm like, I don't know what that is. I didn't do that.
All right, Skype. So here.
Oh my God. See,
It'll be better to make it. Try to make the questions kind of based on the.
Okay, so one. Okay. Alright.
I don't remember.
We'll work around it.
Yeah, I didn't email somebody who wasn't even in class.
I was like, it was another teacher. She was like cool.
Wow. Okay.
I was like, why didn't you come to class?
What about cell phone?
Oh, you can do Skype on your cell phone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, then I could download it for that.
I think I had Skype with my cell phone.
I'll download it.
Alright, actually, Orlando, why don't you and Maxine get connected on Skype while I'm doing this?
I was trying to print out my syllabus. I can get this straight.
Just ask her what her Skype name is. It's very like
Hold on,
her.
give me a second. I'll give it to you. He's
Alright,
honestly-
search. Alright, Orlando, what's your Skype name?
Forget it.
Um,
Yeah, he was not
Pretty
even
much
like.
use my email address, right? Or no?
Facts.
My Skype name is Zach Williams 212. See if you can search for me.
He was so nonchalant about it, like, it happened. Like, shit happened.
212?
Yep.
Will this be, that'll be mine then, right? So we oversee the, oh, that line,
Can you spell it for me?
like, number 4,
4?
S-E-A-S-O-N,
S-E-A-S-O-N.
O-L-I-E.
O-L-I-E.
I trust also that we believe the President's sense.
Oh, is this someone trying to connect with
And
him?
the sorrow.
Okay,
No?
accident that should never have happened. We have always met our obligations and
Hey, can you
responsibilities.
turn that off while we're trying to
And
do
we
this?
have
Alright, yeah, just try it again. Zach Williams, Zach Williams 212.
Yeah, connected. That's what I have as on my profile.
Questions I asked,
So.
some of the questions at the end, they were showing questions.
So how do you log on?
Is it two?
Could we?
Maybe I'll try to search for it.
How do you log on to the computer?
It's,
G-
your
G-
username and password for Mac.
Okay. Try to open here right now. Who's connecting with me?
Who am I getting?
What's that?
What am I getting?
Or did you, Zach Williams 212, did you find?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got me?
Yep.
Just try to call me. There it is, if you're okay. Hey! Fantastic!
Too close to each other.
That's that. Alright, we're gonna hang up. I'll hang up. Alright, so you got it? You're good. I just need. Put it all together, like one word. Yep.
Yep.
This is something about.
Got it. You gotta go to add contact.
Add contact.
Yeah, I guess if you go to search, you're probably just searching for people.
Okay. So call me. Hello? No, just the video.
We should go different rooms and do.
Yeah, I can see it though.
No,
Just
I see.
Just the video at the bottom, like it has it lined through the camera probably. Well, you can see me, I can see you. I can see you. Do you wanna accept? Yeah, I accept. Sorry. Yeah, alright, yeah. Excellent, so we got David, we're just waiting on Maxine and we're good. Alright.
So don't download it to my phone?
I have it.
Oh. okay.
David's got it for you. Alright, so let's see. So. Okay, so yeah, so David, you and Amanda are gonna go somewhere. I called the facilities manager about getting another room, he just told me not to worry about it, just find something, and he never got back to me. So you and Amanda are going to hook up on your phone, and you're gonna go somewhere. Maxine is gonna go somewhere by herself. Actually, let's do this, oh yeah, Maxine will, no, Maxine will just stay here. Maxine and everyone else will stay here. So Orlando, you'll go somewhere by yourself. David, you and Amanda will go somewhere by yourself. And everyone else will stay here and watch Maxine talk on my computer.
What about her computer?
Alright.
We're going to one place or we're going to separate places?
You and David are gonna go somewhere?
Okay. Like we're leaving right now?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
Hang on for a minute.
I think your computer works then.
So, one of the three of us will get connected again now, so David, why don't you call me? Amanda, why don't you call me as well?
Is everyone calling you? So I wanna just-
Yeah, we're just gonna have you talk on this computer, Maxine. Okay. So can I add you to this call? Actually, let me call you, Orlando. So I've got David.
Do I have to add him?
Oh, can you, wait,
I don't have him.
you don't have, okay.
I think you might have to initiate it. And
Yeah.
maybe you have to call me and then call him. Cause I think I'm the host right now,
Oh, okay.
so you probably have to host, you have to call me and then add him.
Okay, so I will call you.
I think it's the video button, next, type this message on the right and the bottom. Is that it?
Okay.
Maybe not. Oh no, that's a voicemail.
Looking good.
Try double clicking my name. No? Oh yeah, maybe that's, oh that's
There it
it.
is.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hit the video button on me.
So, okay,
Oh.
so you're both my contacts, so I'm gonna call you first. Okay. And then I'm gonna add Orlando. Four. Yes. Yes. Are you gonna call from your Orlando?
Oh, it's gonna be.
Full fail. It's not even connected to me. I'm not even on it.
Alright, hang on, let me try.
Yeah, something got messed up.
Alright. Alright, here we go. Add. Such as good. Conversation. Video.
So you can't add more than one?
No, you can, it just gets a little fussy when you don't know the people.
Oh.
It's not showing your picture either.
Maxine, while you're waiting, why don't you go ahead and try to, wanna go ahead and try to add me? Zach Williams, 212. Orlando, it says you can't be added to this conversation due to your privacy settings. And this again, I'll try it again. Rate pay finding, oh yes, okay, good. So then, yeah, you can mute your computer for now. And let's, okay, so accept, alright, so let me try to, oh, hi, okay. Now. Alright,
Should I hang up on mine?
alright, so I'll hang up on everyone. I'll call Maxine. Let me see if I'll call David again and see if I can add Maxine. Alright. David is probably there. Max. Alright. There we go. Now we're talking.
You're missing me, right?
It's fine, maybe, okay.
Guess my video's not working.
Yeah, Orlando, it said your privacy settings.
I'm looking at it now.
Privacy settings. Add one more person.
How come there's a question sign on my name? And my video's not working. Oh, that's weird.
Maybe because you can't see two people at once on the phone.
Oh, I can't do,
Oh, because David is at a, is on a cell phone maybe? Yeah, good point. Alright, so let's see what we got.
Settings,
Profile settings, obvious branding. What if I hang up David and then?
If I call you, would that matter?
So, yeah, why don't you try it? So why don't you try to, why don't you try calling David? Have you connected with David yet?
No.
Alright. Why don't you, well, first try connecting with David. David, what's your Skype name?
David space Somers.
Yeah, so just go to add contacts. Contacts.
But that's right, Chalmers.
Yeah.
Not very, so which one are you?
This guy. Second one.
No, I don't see, well, I don't see you.
Yeah, I don't
see
have it.
David.
Something happened.
You'll see me in a minute. Here you go. Alright, let's, if I can call Max. Max. Yes.
I can't find
Okay, bingo. Alright, so David, why don't you hang up or something? You hang up, can you hang up?
I don't think so.
Alright,
Somebody, you can hang up on me, probably.
actually maybe just don't touch anything.
I can try calling you.
Well, you don't show up anymore.
Nah, don't do that.
Okay,
I don't know.
alright, so this is fine. So who are our teams? Is mine? Not sure. Where's mine?
I'm thinking, no, I'm talking.
Okay. So, let's see. So, Maxine can go somewhere. Orlando. Okay, good. Let's do this. David and Amanda, why don't you sit here and use this, and then we will watch, the rest of us that are not involved in this. And then Maxine and Orlando can each go to a separate room, and I will try to find a separate room with you.
Like, go from here. You know how you, you have.
Yeah, I closed it. Okay.
Yeah, I was one class. I took this class and 2 online classes and I went to finish.
I'm the head of annuity processing in Mumbai.
For the, no, this semester I took 3 classes. 1 in class and 2 online. First month I was again online classes this semester. And I took 2 of these.
Yeah, I got one, and we have to do it for 12 to 15 minutes.
Not bad. That's not bad.
No, I
You start
never.
picture? You start the picture?
Yeah, I have like my pages, I need to do the conclusion.
Bad.
Yes, it is.
I'm not about a picture. There's a, I have 1 class final. Because we set
This
out
is my name.
classes. And you can't.
Well, we don't see
back
Maxine now.
Dropped off.
any corrections.
You wanna try calling her? Do the ad, click the ad, no, not on your phone, on the ad, yeah. And add people. And Maxine. Yeah, there, click on that, and then click the add button. No, yeah.
I even shut my phone off, and it's still.
What happened now?
Hit accept, see what happens.
Alright, there we go. Oh,
Oh, everyone.
you think it has something to do with the connection?
Yeah, maybe.
So we got Maxine.
Hi, Maxine. So now try to add Orlando.
Well, he's here. You
Oh.
see it where it says on the top?
Yeah. feeling about this. And I turned my sound off, so, yeah. Ask Maxine if she can hear us.
It's still saying mute. Even though press- Hey Maxine, can you hear me? She can hear me, but we can't hear her.
Oh, because it's under HDMI, that's why. It's sending the sound through this thing. Because the video cable is also an audio cable, I think.
Well, I guess we gotta check this.
There it
Oh, brilliant.
Hello?
Can you hear us now?
So what happens if you hang up on Orlando and then,
And what happened to our picture?
I don't know. Can you, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Hey! So can you do the hang up? Yeah, right there, if you hang that up.
I know.
No.
But
Right there.
I can't do anything.
Alright, let's just tell Orlando to come back and we'll talk to Maxine. I'll get Orlando. Let's
Bye,
have him come back
Maxine.
there.
Oh, I hear him, I don't see him.
Maybe he has to put his camera on.
Yes, are you with Orlando? Oh. Orlando, do you hear us?
I see you guys, and I hear you.
Oh, we just can't see him, so maybe that's not so bad.
Are you still on the phone with me? No, like my account on. You might have to cancel the message with me.
Oh, you can't even hear him.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Technical difficulties. I didn't really want Skype was very awkward.
I did too. It was weird.
It was awkward, right?
Yeah, when I was in college.
I had to do a video interview for Capital One. It was just so annoying. I just gave up. Because my words wouldn't come all right, my background was too dark, and I had like the computer at like 90. And I was like, no, it's not even worth it. I'll stay on the cover job.
It's bad. All this technical difficulties.
So I don't think you're on there.
No, I shut my phone off.
I can't wait until Thursday.
What is that? What's that?
How you just gonna
Alright. So we're gonna do a two-way Skype call.
So why don't you actually just sit with those two and go ahead and start the video conference.
We're gonna call you back.
Oh.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because it's still
Okay.
showing him there.
Yep.
Wait, can I try calling you?
No,
No?
just the three of you sit there.
Alright.
And then, let's see, project manager.
No.
such a Skype picture.
Alright, perfect. Alright, Amanda, project manager, try to move this as fast as you can.
Yeah, come all
Linda,
three of us at once, or?
what's that?
So I started off right?
Yeah, you started off, yeah, it's up to you guys.
I thought I was like only, going off of what they say at the end.
Okay, fine.
Alright.
You started off, I
Yes.
thought. It's my meeting, right? Okay. All right, hello everyone. I'm glad everyone's able to join this video conference. First, let's introduce ourselves. We have David from India.
Hello?
We have Amanda, our project manager,
Hello.
and Maxine, our VP of Information Technology. Okay. Yeah. So as many of you may know, our live long annuity, we need to speed up the process. We need to speed up the process of our live long annuity with our customers. So as we all know, to purchase a live long annuity, the customer must fill out a paper form application that takes 41 days. What we want to do is transfer the fund as fast as we can from different institutions. We want to discuss how we can make this online process successful and how we can make it reliable. Also, the paper process system takes 41 days compared to the online system that's 47 days. The goal is to have it for 27 days. So let's start off with David from India, our head of annuity processes, and he'll take over.
Hello everyone, and Orlando, thank you for that. As head of annuity processing, I concur with that initiative. I also agree that using the online method is definitely the way of the future. It's the way we need to get to. We're not there right now. There's a lot of challenges in our way that are preventing us from being where we want to be, and that's the reason why we're seeing the 47-day turnaround that you're seeing now with the online system. We really need the support from our sales team. Our sales have been pushing for the paper processing, and because of the volume of paper processing that we have, currently we have a lot of annuity personnel pretty much using most of their resources on processing the papers instead of getting familiar and actually learning and becoming accustomed to the online system. So once we get accustomed and trained on the online system, we expect not only to relocate the staffing from the annuity team to other resources for the company, we also expect to see an actual increase in the efficiency of the processing of these annuities. And we're definitely 100% behind you on that. We think we can get there with the support of the sales team. Transfer it now to our project manager from the online entry project.
Okay, Maxine, I believe that we currently need to lay out the scope of the project with the sales team first, and then we will be able to get it down from 47 to 23 days. So I would like to have a separate meeting with the sales team so that we can lay out this scope.
Okay. I understand the potential of the online billing system, but we have to be able to justify the additional IT expenses. Much of IT budget is already tied up, supporting the 125 processing staff, and we can't allocate more funds to the same department unless we staff. So it's something we need to also discuss either here or offline separately. Ultimately, the IT system and support for online processing will cost roughly $10 million. If you invest in $10 million, then maybe for all the technical problems probably could be solved. But to justify that expense, I feel alternatively, the processing department cuts, at least 40 of the staff members, that should free up some of the funds. Required for the IT system.
Okay, and I believe even with, last year alone, even with the problems that we were having, we were able to process 85 million. So I believe that once we have it in full effect, we would be able to meet those budget line items to allocate those funds.
Okay. Basing this off of last year, the staff, same amount of staff. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure you guys don't forget that this has to be a very smooth transition. We don't wanna scare any stockholders, shareholders, we want them to understand that with this change, it's great things are gonna come. This is the bright future for our business. This is gonna lead us to the next 100 years of live long annuity.
Okay, can I just suggest then, based on what Vice Manager is saying and what we processed last year, can we at least, try to do, portion bulk processing just to make sure we can reach that guideline without cutting any staff?
Well, it seems to me that regardless, we're gonna have to cut some type of staff.
Right.
You know, some people may have to go.
And we're looking at 90% of the processing employees are going to have to be let go, but they can be retrained for other positions within our company. So we just have to lay that out and see where they can fit in the company.
Yeah, I think that, as we transition to the online system, right now, we need the current staffing that we have because we're doing so many paper processing, in our department. But as we move to the online system, we're gonna see a much, more efficient process being pushed forward. So the need for the amount of staffing, right now, we have 125 employees that are processing. And the reason why we've had such a large influx of employees over the years, since 2008, is because of the need to do the time-consuming process of processing these paper forms. As it transitions to the electronic system, you're going to see a much more efficient process being employed. We'll definitely scout the employees, the best people, and the people that are most accustomed to the new online system can actually be retrained and used in other organizations, and even possibly help out the sales team as they try and market this to the other banks.
I'm hearing a kickback. Sorry, guys. Okay. So, okay. The only agreement that remember that some of the staff members will have to be cut.
Yes,
We're
yes,
on the same page with that, guys.
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So are we all in agreement?
I am in agreement, but let's see if we justify, how we can get more usage out of this system.
How can you get more use out of the online system?
Yes.
Well, funds are gonna be transferred from, different banks faster than before. So we're literally gonna cut half the time that it costs to process, and that's gonna be better for us.
Okay. Okay. So that would be cut. All right, I'm in agreement, we just have to figure out how we make this transition, that's what I'm suggesting.
Okay, so I think, the first thing that we need to do is just meet with the sales team so that we can, have them on board with us. And then we'll work on, where we're gonna cut the staff and where we can retrain them into different positions and make it smooth for our stockholders and shareholders.
Okay, sounds great, guys. Thank you for the conference. I know it's late in New York, and in India, I have no idea what time it is right now. But Thank you for this late conference call. See you, speak to you guys later on this week. Bye.
Bye.
It was her lighting. If she had the proper lighting, she would have been fine.
Yeah, she didn't have any key light or fill light, right? Yeah, she just had backlight.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
excellent.
That's crazy.
Great job.
That's
Great job. All right. Good job, Maxine. All right, great work. Sorry for the technical delay. Thank you so much, David. Lifesaver.
Did you guys hear the Did you guys hear the beep?
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
All right, so,
I
let's,
heard,
heard the what?
The kickback.
yeah, like a kickback.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We heard that. I was gonna comment on that. That was interesting. It was interesting because we were having the technical difficulty there, and it was unclear whether you were trying to solve that or if you were gonna say something. And so we were all like, wait, is she gonna say something related to this, or is she solving this? It was kind of one of those, we're holding because of the technical difficulties. But who am I to talk? I just spent 20 minutes trying to get Skype hooked up. So I understand how that happens. Is any comments, any thoughts about what you saw? Maybe that related to the best practices discussion we had when we started?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
You guys
Lucy.
were blending in, bleeding over each other.
Okay. Leading, and also when they were turning the computer, I was wondering how that
It kind of
affected
threw me
it.
off.
Yeah, and there was one point when I think Orlando turned the computer to him and said, what was it?
You're gonna be cutting staff.
Cutting
You have to
staff,
cut
I think turned it, so all of a sudden, you have this like, it's like when you're watching a movie and there's this weird like pan, I imagine on the big screen for Maxine, it must have been looked like that, like all of a sudden we have Orlando's face, cutting staff. So must have been abrupt. Other comments?
It was good. I kind of enjoyed it.
Fantastic, alright.
The one word answers were tough, like try not to do the one.
Yeah.
We did it in the beginning, and it was like,
Yeah.
that was tough to
Yeah.
not do one words.
Oh, okay, and it's because the three of you fell into that, because the three of you were sitting there, and it makes sense, yes, no, blah, 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 but it must have been difficult for Maxine to absorb that. I remember there was one point, when Orlando asked Maxine if we were, or Orlando said, is everyone in agreement about cutting staff? And the two people in the room with Orlando said yes, and he said, Maxine, are you in agreement? And there were some nonverbal cues going on, and my thought was, it's unclear what she's saying with that nonverbal body language, because we can't see her as clearly. So it seemed like she was maybe reluctant, but we weren't getting that message as strongly as maybe she thought we were. Eye contact, how was Maxine's eye contact? Wasn't horrible, it was just, it was just the thing that happens when you look down at the people that you think you're talking to, and the people who are receiving you have a huge image of you just looking down. So, it helps if you can look directly into the camera, think of the camera as a pet or a person, even though it seems artificial. It could make a big impression on you being the sole person who is trying to say we should be careful about cutting, or we need to be conscious of the costs before we implement this. That was a powerful message. Those of you who didn't read the case, maybe you even got that. And Maxine said we need to have this much volume before we can do this thing. That was a powerful, important message that may have been decreased in terms of the impact because she was looking down. And then the last thing, the lighting. What happened with the lighting on Maxine's face?
It was dark now.
What?
Yeah.
The room was so bright.
Yeah, so what did she need? She needed key or fill light, I think. Because she had plenty of backlight. And obviously it wasn't her fault, I just told her to go in this room next door. But if she had more time to plan it, I would say put some fill light, or some key light, excuse me. All right, any other comments on our video conference? Let's get set up for the press conference. So we'll stop. All right, whenever you're ready, Letitia.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have had a very constructive meeting today with the president. We appreciate his deep concern, and we appreciate the deep concern that he feels for the people in the region. And you could hear on his speech today his frustration. I trust also that we, through the meeting, that the president sensed the sadness and sorrow that we feel for this tragic accident that should never have happened. BP has always met our obligations and responsibilities, and we have made clear from the first moment of the tragedy that we will live up to all our legitimate responsibilities. We have agreed today with the President a framework that should assure the American people that we mean what we say. We will look after the people affected, and we will repair the damage to this region, the environmental damage to this region, and to the economy. We are announcing today, as you heard from the President, a $20 billion commitment to make sure that all appropriate claims are handled swiftly and fairly. We have also announced an independent agitator that will make sure that the right people will get the right money at the right time. The BP board has today decided that we will not pay any further dividends this year. We made it clear to the President that words are not enough. We understand that we will and we should be judged by our actions. What has been clear today is that this administration and our company are fully aligned in our interests of closing this well, cleaning the beaches, and care for those that are affected. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to apologize to the American people. On behalf of all the employees in BP, many of whom are living in the Gulf Coast, and I do thank you for your patience that you have in this difficult time. Through our actions and commitments, we hope that over the long term, we will regain the trust that you have in us. Thanks a lot, and I will take a couple of questions.
So, is this $20 billion in cash?
At this moment, I can assure you that the people will get what they need.
And do you think that this $20 billion is enough to look after the people and the environment?
I believe that we are resourceful enough to get the people in the environment what they need with the $20 billion.
Why haven't you talked about the human cost and the lives that were lost in this accident?
We understand that a lot of lives were lost, and I'm sorry.
Next question.
What are you guys doing to ensure this is not it won't be a reoccurrence?
We have looked through our systems, and we have, I can't, I'm sorry.
Okay, good. We got enough. Good job. Excellent. Excellent.
sounded good from outside though.
Yeah.
Good job. So there's some good stuff going on in there, and definitely some good example stuff we can learn from.
That's gonna be hard questions.
No, we won't fault Letitia for not having all the answers, but here, let me send you off with a nice. Yeah, how does this work? I guess so, wait a minute, so
What are you? Seeing yourself, see yourself? Crazy.
Alright, we can't fault Letitia for not having the actual answers, but what did she do when we asked her questions, and in particular, how did it look on the big screen?
Well, she redirected it.
She did a good job redirecting, but what did she do with her eyes? Did anyone know? Notice?
It went down?
She looked down. Alright, so every time we asked her a question, she looked down, like the answer was right here. And that's fun. Did anyone have any thoughts about how that looked on camera?
I mean, to me, I knew she was looking at something, but to me, it can always be perceived as, she just wants to take her time to ingest the question and come out with a proper answer.
Yeah, and I commend her for that. I think she was patient and did that too. But to me, it exaggerates on the camera that you're looking away. Right? So when you look down, it just exaggerates that eye look down. Like instead, you're breaking an intimate moment with the audience that you're connected with, and it looks especially exaggerated when your face is huge on the screen like that.
So you should look at the audience even when you're trying to process the question?
Well, you were looking off, my thought is that you were looking off screen. Like if you had looked sort of a little bit up, maybe, it would have been better, but you were looking at something that was out of frame. So you have a very intimate connection with your audience, and then all of a sudden you look off frame to something that you should probably know the answer to. And we don't fault you for not knowing the answer, we just use this as a learning moment that it looked especially suspicious that you looked down off screen when you were asked a question that we wanted a really honest, intimate answer to. That's the only point. What else? What other things do we notice from a camera perspective?
She had a very good contact while she was reading the press conference with the audience. And she took a moment to look up and kind of, not really engage, but give that connection, that intimate moment that the audience needed, especially because it was the
Yeah, she's very good, slow, deliberate, engaged voice. And that registered on the camera. There were a couple moments, and I know it's goofy when you're up here and it's tempting to kind of look at people, but did anyone notice during a couple of the times she kind of looked at us or looked at herself? Was anyone looking at the big screen at that point, and what did it look like, Max?
Honestly, it looks like she was looking at the audience. She was
I was
looking.
thinking like it's a press conference, it's gonna be people in the audience and the camera, so you gotta look at both, no?
Well, like I mentioned, my assessment of watching presidential candidates trying to decide whether they want to look into the camera or they want to look at the studio audience, when they make a quick shift between I'm not going to try to do it. When they make a quick shift between the audience and the camera, I think it looks a little weird. It just looks abrupt. It's like you're dodging. Did anyone else see that? Feel that? It's not her fault, it's just. You didn't see it at all? Rewind. Rewind the tape.